Yo, y'all bear with me. I'm getting my notes. I got two notebooks. I knocked out one notebook, and then I started another one. So I'm trying to get all my stuff together. Okay, I think I got it. All right. I think I got it. Okay, I think I'm good to go. Yeah, welcome everybody. Another episode of the Morning Star Show. We're gonna do things a little bit different. Technically, I have the night off, but I wanted to just come on and do a show real quick because there's a lot to catch up with. I didn't want another week to go by, and because I want to get everybody up to speed about what's going on with some of these shows, and it's a lot of fuck shit going on as usual. All right, so if I'll put the links, and if you want to donate, give me one moment. I assume everybody's stuffed from food and overeating. All right. All right, I'll post the links throughout the show. All right, so let me run through my spiel real quick. Where's this fucking spiel? Where's the fucking script? Where's the script? I'm so not prepared. Where's the script? Okay, here we go. Here's the script. All right. Okay. Yeah. It's Morning Star Show featuring me, Super Slot 75. Shout out to Rod on the boards, even though there's no Rod tonight, and nor there's no Cindy tonight. I'm just doing this dolo. We're on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and now iHeartRadio for replays if you missed. I'm debating if I'm gonna do if I'm gonna take calls. If I do take calls, it'll be the Google number, which I will post. You can find us on let me see, you can find me on this YouTube, Superslot75. Merchandise is available at teespring.com/Superslot75. Backup channel is Heavily Flawed Individual. Also, please donate any amount of money that go to website and airtime. It's labor of love, but we still live in a costed world. If you appreciate the free content, please help us keep the message uncensored and free. You can always donate through PayPal at onthewakeupradio@gmail.com. All that good stuff. All right. Now, I know what y'all want to talk about is the Watchmen. I'm going to get into the Watchmen real quick. I promise. What I want to talk about first, even though I know some of y'all going to be like, well, I don't care about this show, The Mandalorian. Let's get everybody up to speed on The Mandalorian. It is important. I think it's important. I got so many windows open. I got so many fucking windows open. Hold up, y'all. I'm going to get it together. Where is it? It's not it. This Catalina update, man. I updated my Mac to the Catalina. It's turned into an epic fail. All right. So, here we go. Episode 1, Mandalorian. I'm going to run through this just because I think we need to talk about it, but it's not that important. All right, there's two bounty hunters. They attempt to take the bounty. Mando walks in the bar. One of the roughnecks complains about Mando spilling his drink. Mando roughs up both the troublemakers. Mando takes in the fugitive that the roughneck was trying to attempt to take in. Okay. Mando takes a fugitive to the yards. Mando has a thing against droids, which we'll get into later episodes. Mando meets with the Bounty Hunter Guild, which is Grief Karga, played by Carl Weathers. Mando doesn't want Imperial credits. Says the Empire is dead. Now, We must understand with the Mandalorian, it takes place 30 years after Return of the Jedi. Keep that in mind. And Boba Fett and Jango were not Mandalorians. That is canon for now. They will change it up. So everyone keeps thinking about Boba and Jango. They were not Mandalorians. They wore the Mandalorian armor, but they were not true Mandalorians. All right, that just got to keep that in mind. Okay, so meets with the Bounty Hunters Guild. Mando agrees to take a special job. Mando meets Dr. Pershing. Mando is given a piece of Beskar steel as a down payment. We'll get into why Beskar steel is important to the Mandalorians. Mando gives the steel to a blacksmith to craft a piece of armor. The blacksmith says his signet has been revealed. He says no. Mando has flashbacks to being a foundling. He was an abandoned youth. His parents had died during an Imperial droid attack. That's part of why he doesn't like droids. Mando's attacked by 2 blurgs, but is saved by Quill. Quill has this thing about his mantra. Quill's mantra is, I have spoken. So every time he says something, he talks, he says, he ends it with, I am spoken. I have spoken. Like, do as thou wilt, so mote it be. So his thing is, I have spoken, which I thought it was cool, okay? Because that's kind of like a reaffirmation. And also that's a way for him to end the conversation like, I have spoken, I said what I said. All right. So Mando's attacked by the blurgs, and Quill wants one of the blurgs as payment. Quill teaches Mando how to ride the female blurg because the blurg is the only way to get back to the site. Quill leaves and sees bounty droid IG-88. The IG and Mando team up. IG wants to keeps wanting to self-destruct. That was funny. And Mando's like, no, don't self-destruct. Because they're outmanned and outgunned. All right. So then they find the baby Yoda infant. Now this is not Yoda. We have a theory of who Baby Yoda is. It's 2 theories. First of all, once again, this takes place 30 years after Return of the Jedi. Baby Yoda is already 50 years old. That means by the time the original Yoda died, he was already 20 years old. This is not another Baby Yoda. Okay? This is another, it's like a species. The first theory goes, it's a clone. Okay? Second theory goes, there was a female Yoda in the Star Wars canon by the name of the Widow. We suspect this baby Yoda is her offspring, but we don't know yet, but these are just theories. All right. So the IG droid attempts to kill the infant because he has his own set of orders. Okay. The Bounty Hunter Guild sent out a bunch of notices for this job. There's like 50 people looking for this kid. Mando and IG beat them to it, but IG's orders are to kill it. Okay, so then as IG moves in to kill Baby Yoda, Mando shoots the droid in the head, destroying the droid. Okay, episode 2. Once again, 30 years after Return of the Jedi, Mando takes the infant back to his ship, but is attacked by mercenaries. When Mando is trying to repair the ship himself, the infant gets off in his mobile crib. In the episode, he keeps trying to get off and touch things and play. He's a little kid at this point, okay? The next day, Mando returns to his ship to find it stripped by Jawas. He kills some Jawas. The tanker. Okay, so he tracks down the tanker. He tries to get on board, gets knocked off the tanker, or the fortress, rather. Mando returns back to his ship to salvage parts, then begins to hike into another town to find Quill. Quill takes Mando to the Jawas to trade. So he's got to barter with these people that stole parts from him, right? The Jawas want the Beskar steel for all his parts. He says no. Then the Jawas says they want the Sukar. Sukar's egg. Okay, there's a special egg that they want. Okay, so then at one point during the negotiations, they're like, no weapons. Mandalorian says, I'm a Mandalorian. Weapons are a part of my religion. I love that line. Okay. Mando has to fetch the egg from a mudhorn. Mando is injured, and during the creature's final charge, Baby Yoda reaches out, uses the Force because his species is Force sensitive, holds the creature in place, giving Mando enough time to stab it in the neck and kill it. Okay. Then Baby Yoda passes out because he's tired. Okay, because he used all his energy to stop the creature. All right. So then Mando returns with the egg. Quill and Mando repair the ship. Mando offers Quill a job. Quill refuses. Mando then takes off with the infant to the contractors. Although one more thing, one little rant. If you watch this show, the theme song for The Mandalorian sounds very familiar. At least to me, it does. I'm an audiophile. So I don't listen to music like everybody else. I listen to where have I heard this riff from, chord sounds, orchestrals, setups. You know, the whole. I don't listen to music like everybody else. Okay, there's two songs that I know they ripped off or borrowed to create this theme song. The first song that stuck out that I remember is the bass line from Ball of Confusion by the Temptations. Okay? The bass line, that first bar, 2 bars of that bass line was taken from Ball of Confusion. Okay? The second obvious riff you're going to hear in the Mandalorian theme song is the Rocky Redemption song. That's no doubt about it. You play the Mandalorian theme, go to YouTube, listen to the Mandalorian theme song, and you'll be goddamn if you don't recognize Ball of Confusion, you'll damn sure recognize that Rocky, the horn section. Okay. I was like, oh, okay, word. I think the composer, his name was Ludwig Besson. All right. Okay. So now we're at the episode 3, because episode 4 comes out tomorrow. All right. Episode 3. The baby awakens from his slumber. Kree gets Mando's message and is told to return the quarry directly to the client. One of the troopers grabs the carriage, and Mando says, "Hey, easy with that." And then the trooper says, "You take it easy." All right. Because at this point, the Empire has fallen. The New Republic is taking kind of the new big dogs in town. The Empire they turn into either warlords or mercenaries at this point. All right. They run a test on the baby. Mando gets a stack of Beskar steel for his payment. Mando asks, well, what are they going to do? What are their plans for it? Okay. Because once again, during flashbacks, Mando is a foundling, like he's an abandoned child. Okay, so clearly this thing strikes a chord with him. Okay, so then the client says asking the question is uncharacteristic of his kind, and says it's harder to find a Mandalorian than it is to find Beskar steel. All right, Mando takes his steel to a blacksmith, and this is where the good shit. And then he gets a new suit of Beskar steel armor. He says his armor. She asks, well, "What happened to your original armor?" He says it lost its integrity. And then the Mandalorian mentions his steel was cast in an Imperial smelter. One of the other Mandalorians, they're like, "Oh, you got steel from the Imperials, right?" And so he's the big Mando. He says, "Well, they're the reason we hide like sand rats." So then the big Mando attempts. He says, "Secrecy is survival, and survival is strength." The big Mando says, "Our survival was with numbers. Now we live in the shadows and only come out one at a time." He says, our world was shattered by the Empire, by whom this coward, referring to Mando, shares tables. The big Mando attempts to lift his mask, his helmet, because Mandalorians never take their helmet off. Never. Okay? So then they get into a knife fight. All right? And then the blacksmith says, the Empire is no longer, and the Beskar has returned. When one chooses to walk the way of the Mandalore, you become hunter and prey. How can one be a coward if one chooses this way of life? The blacksmith is female, but blacksmiths are highly revered for being able to. They know the secrets of the Beskar, to fold the Beskar and how to rearrange it, add carbon to it to make it stronger, all that good stuff. Okay. Big Mando asks Mando. The blacksmith asks Mando, "Has anyone ever removed your helmet?" He says, "No." "Has it ever been removed by others?" Mando says, "Never." Blacksmith says, "This is the way." This is their mantra. This is the way. So everybody has their own little mantra, okay? And then in unison, they all say, "This is the way." The blacksmith asks, "What caused this damage?" Mando says, "A mud horn." The blacksmith says, "Then the mud horn will be your signet." Mando says he can't accept it. It wasn't a noble kill. He was helped by an enemy. The blacksmith asks, "Well, why would an enemy help you in battle?" Mando says it did not know it was the enemy. Blacksmith asks or says, we will go with whistling birds. Mando says, reserve some for the foundlings. Blacksmith says the foundlings are the future. This is the way. Whistling birds are a powerful defense against multiple enemies. We will see the whistling birds actually be used in this episode later on. During his armor creation, Mando has flashbacks to his parents being killed by an Imperial droid attack. He was locked in a shelter during the attack, and then the droid opens the shelter, and then someone blows the droid up. Okay, Mando with new armor meets with Kreef and asks for his next job. He picks a nobleman's son who's skipped bail. Mando asks Kreef, does he know what they're going to do with it? Kreef says it's against guild policy to ask. Mando asks if the Empire is what. He says, well, what are they doing here? Okay. Kreef says the Empire is gone. Report them to the New Republic. As Mando fires his ship up, he reaches for a lever that's missing a knob. So on his way back, initially, Baby Yoda liked to play with things, and he was unscrewing the knob off the lever. So then he reached for the lever. The knob's not there. He has a flashback. He remembers a little attachment to it. He misses the little Baby Yoda. All right. So then he kills his ship. He goes back for the baby. He sets up a sniper post, and then hears them saying, and they will extract the necessary material and be done with it. The other one says, well, we have orders saying explicitly to bring it back alive. The old man says something like, finish it quickly, for I can no longer guarantee your safety. All right, so then Mando breaks off the scanner and sets a bomb on the opposite wall of the building, then engages the stormtroopers, breaks into the lab, shoots the torture droid. If you remember in the first, I think, Empire Strikes Back, when Leia was held captive, Vader's talking to her, she wouldn't tell. He brings in the torture droid, the big circular ball with all the shit that comes out of it, the spikes and the knives and shit, okay? They had that. He shoots that down. And then he breaks into the lab, shoots the torture droid, and then the scientist begs Mando not to hurt it. It's just a kid. Mando asks, what did you do to it? The scientist says, I protected him. If it weren't for me, it'd already be dead. Mando takes the baby in tow, fights his way out of the facility. Mando is surrounded by troopers, then uses his whistling birds weapon. It comes out of his wrist gauntlet, and it just little bitty missiles that just they whistle, and they shoot everybody and they kill everybody. Okay. So then all the bounty hunters get the call to find Mando, like John Wick. Remember in John Wick when he got excommunicado, everybody got the notice at the same time. Same thing happens here. All right. So then Kreef and the guild surround Mando. There's a standoff, and there's a firefight that ensues. And as they close in on Mando, the other Mandalorians come in to help. That was dope. All right, so they come in to help, and they turn the tide. You see Big Mando coming with the mini cannon. All right, he shows up, lays down some suppressing fire, covers Mando, tells Mando to get out of here. Kreef is on the Mando ship and says, I didn't want to come down to this, but he broke the code. He shoots Kreef in the chest with a laser blast. But Kreef also got paid money too. He has Beskar steel in his chest, so he doesn't die. It saved his life. All right. As he flies off in his ship with the baby, you see Big Mando on his rocket. He has a rocket pack. Fly next to Mando, salute him, and then flies off. And then Mando says to himself, I got to give you one of those. Because if you all remember, Boba Fett had the rocket pack. All right. So then he engages in a hyperdrive. So that's where we're at right now. So he flies off with Baby Yoda. We don't know what the fuck is going on. All right, episode 4 tomorrow night. But then of course I'll report it the following weekend. All right. That's that. Now, do I want to do a movie review first, or do you want to get into the Watchmen fuckery? If you want Watchmen fuckery, give me a 1 in the chat. If you want the Watchmen fuckery right now, give me a 1 in the chat. Because it's some fuck shit. It's a mess. It is a fucking mess. It is a fucking mess. All right, I got 1. So, okay, you know what? Because you said it, we're going to get into the Watchmen. Y'all just can't wait for the Watchmen fuckery. All right, okay. Let me get my notes. Let me get my notes. Let me get my notes. Oh, yeah. I don't even know what time I started. What time did I start? 21 minutes ago. All right. Wait a minute. Bear with me. When I tell you I got notebooks, I got notebooks. Episode 4. Eli. Saving that one. That's a movie review. I'm sorry, y'all. Please forgive me. It's y'all don't understand. When I get to writing the shit, I get to writing and I get to really zoning the fuck out. Okay. Here we go so far. We're gonna cover episode 5, and then we'll get into episode 6, the fuckery episode. All right, episode 5 of The Watchmen. Yeah, I saw The Irishman. I watched it last night. I'll talk about that next week. All right. Watchmen episode 5. This was the prelude to episode 6, fuckery. You should have known it was too good to be true. I mean, we already seen a reverse dynamic between Angela and Calvin. We knew it was that. We thought it was just going to be just that bad. Episode 6, Lord have mercy. All right, let's get into episode 5. Hoboken, New Jersey, 1985. A young man with a pastor and a crew to go to a carnival. They are Jehovah's Witnesses. It's 1 minute to midnight. The young man approaches a group referring to the doomsday clock concerning the U.S.-Russian arms race. If you grew up in the 80s, you knew about the Cold War. Shit was real. All right. One of the girls takes the young man through the park. They go through the Hall of Mirrors. The girl asks, why Jersey? He says, this is where the sinners are. The girl asks, well, what is he afraid of? He says nothing. She asks if he's a virgin. She begins to undress him and then says, fuck your Bible, and runs off with his clothes. He's butt-ass naked because she's about to give him some head. She snatches his clothes and runs out of the Hall of Mirrors. He's butt-ass naked he's butt-ass naked. And then all of a sudden, explosion, glass, the psychic attack happens. Okay, that's what they keep referring to in the previous episodes. All right, so then he walks out. Oh, before he does that, he looks in the mirror and calls himself a sinner and says, you deserve what you get. Okay, so he walks out, the explosion happens, glass everywhere, and then he walks outside and sees 90% of the people dead. He asks what happens. The camera pans back, all the way back from Jersey to New York, and you see this giant fucking squid on top of a building, and there's fires and carnage. Okay, so then fast forward, there's a commercial for a coming back to NYC. This guy works for a focus group. This episode focuses on Wade, aka Looking Glass. Okay, so then they ask him, well, that's Wade's cover story. He's a marketer. He works with focus groups for major corporations. That's his cover story. All right. So they ask him. He says, well, 3 million people died in a squid attack in NYC in '85. And then Blake tells a cop during a briefing to search churches to look for the 7th Cavalry. And then Knight asks if Glass has any info on the pills, referring to the grandfather's pills. Blake calls Glass into the office. Blake is getting info on the background. Glass was in the psychic blast zone during the squid attack. He was the young man. He was the young Jehovah's Witness in '85 in Hoboken. It was him. Blake implies Glass is scared from a past attack, from another attack. She suggests he's scarred from the past attack, hence why he joined the force after the White Knight incident. Blake bugged Glass's desk and asked, what about the pills that Angela gave him? He comes up with a story. Looking Glass goes home and puts on his mask from the safe. The mask the company makes these masks to shield from psychic blasts. Okay, so this episode is kind of deep. All right, so now he's eating baked beans. He's watching American Hero Society. It's a TV show about the vigilantes. Of course, the one scene they had to show is a sex scene between Captain Metropolis and Hooded Justice. Pay attention to this, because it's going to come back in episode 6. So they're already laying the groundwork for the fuck shit. All right? This is what he's watching. And then his squid alarm goes off. He destroys it, turns it off, and is irate on the phone with EDS. They're the ones that make the squid alarms and the psychic mask. Okay? He gets a new unit overnighted to him. He puts back on his mask and lays down. The next day, another test marketing, he goes to visit his ex-wife. She works at a chemical firm. Okay? No. She works at a replication firm called Forever Pet. They clone pets. Is where she works at, but she can analyze chemicals and stuff like that. That's where she works at. She puts a clone dog into the incinerator. So there's like 3 of these little white Irish terriers. Yeah, she asks him, "Well, how does this one look?" He says, "This one looks smaller than the rest." So she puts the dog in an incinerator because they want perfect clones of these animals. No imperfections at all. Okay. The pills are called nostalgia. They're illegal because putting memories into pill form led to psychosis. Cynthia asks Looking Glass, why doesn't he pick better women? He says, I picked you. She says, for 7 years, I tried to convince you I wasn't going to run off with your clothes and leave you naked. Oh, that's some good writing. That's some great writing. Okay. And then Looking Glass leads a self-help group for those affected by this psychic attack and the giant squid. They call it 11-2. So just like 9/11 is for us, for them it's 11-2. All right. One person mentions genetic trauma. If something bad happens to the parents, then it gets locked into the DNA and it gets passed on to the children. Where have you heard that from? Sound familiar? Yeah? Okay. Brenda Nemos walks in. A guy says he keeps calling the alarm company EDS, but always hangs up. Says he doesn't want to be one of those nutters with his head wrapped in their magic tinfoil. Now, there's a prior scene where Looking Glass has a fitted cap with the tinfoil wrapped inside of it. So he would be considered what we call a nutter, okay? Because he believes there's going to be another psychic attack, and he's fixated on making sure it doesn't happen. That's why his mask is of that material. Okay. Cutscene back to when LG's cap falls to the floor, revealing a silver cap inside of it. EDS sells their tinfoil to prevent future psychic attacks. Looking Glass tells a story saying the squid united everybody. After the meeting, Brenda says she doesn't believe him and says he's probably batshit crazy. He follows her to a bar. All right, they wax poetic about focus groups. He tells her he can detect when people are lying. She tests his skill. She's a radiologist. Brenda references the Pale Horse movie. That's the name of the band that was playing MSG the night the squid showed up. Talks about a scene of the little girl looking for her mother. Says she's scared all the time and expects when she's watching that movie she says she's scared all the time except when she's watching that movie or having sex. Okay. They share a kiss. Brenda's ride shows up. He admits to Brenda he's not out of the tunnel. As the truck drives off, a head of lettuce falls out. Now remember, first episode, the guy, the suspect was driving a pickup truck with a head of lettuce in it. Okay, the same truck. So he sees the head of lettuce fall out the back of the truck. He calls dispatch to see if they even recovered the truck in the police shooting. They never did. LG gives chase, follows them to a location. Brenda puts on her Rorschach mask. She's down to 7th Cavalry. So now it gets deep. Okay, so then LG investigates the truck and finds a device and a revolver. LG sneaks inside and discovers the 7th Cavalry compound, the same compound that they were looking for earlier during the briefing. Blake said, if you find a church, search all the churches. If you find this church, you'll find the headquarters. He found the headquarters. Or did he? All right. 7th Cavalry are testing a dimensional portal. He engages them and announces he's a cop. Brenda says she went through the trouble to bring him in. and jerry-rigged the lettuce to fall out of the truck. Wade fires a gun, but it's blanks, and that they were on his walkie-talkie when he called in. They amplified his signal. They strap Wade into a chair. Senator Kane walks in with his Rorschach mask, the same senator that was attempted to be kidnapped at the funeral. Now, remember when I said a theory that we think Senator Kane is in on all this? Come to find out he is. All right, so let's get into it. Senator Kane comes in with his mask. Wade recognizes his voice. Kane takes off his mask. Kane tells Wade Judd was in on it too. Chief Judd. Wade says it was a CX-924 teleportation window like at the Institute for Transdimensional Studies at Herald Square on 11/2. They're going to open a portal in Tulsa. Okay, so it's Lady True, Senator Kane, all right, and Adrian Veidt, some way off, but we'll get to him in a minute too. So the plan is to open another portal over Tulsa. Okay. Kane plays a message from Adrian Veidt 8 years prior. In this message, Kane is talking to Robert Redford. Veidt tells Kane, hey, you're going to be president. I'm going to help you be president, but here's what I need from you. Kane asks Wade to give up Angela, aka Sister Knight, instead of having the cavalry go to her home and kill her and her family. Kane tells Wade if he rats to his cop friends, Kane will convince everybody he's crazy because of the tinfoil hat. Okay. Veidt's message is to President Redford 7 years prior. Veidt used fear to stave off the U.S.-Russian war. Veidt foretells of a giant squid attack in New York. Veidt admits it was a hoax. The squid attack was a hoax. Wade is stunned. Veidt offers Redford a partnership. Back in his prison, Adrian Veidt is launched into orbit. Breaks through the dome. He breaks through the dome. Breaks through the dome. Lands on a moon. We called it right. He was on a moon, just not the moon. He's on Europa. Europa is one of Jupiter's moons. Okay. And then as he is surveying the area, he sees all the dead clones he sent up into space before. So then he arranges all their bodies into a sign that says, save me, because he sees the satellite. Okay. And spells save me with their dead bodies, then is pulled back into the prison planet by the game warden. Veidt is on Europa. This is one of Jupiter's moons. The game warden arrests Adrian. Adrian says God has abandoned everyone. The game warden tells Adrian, no mercy. Go back. We cut back to another focus group called for perfume called No Mercy. Wade, aka Looking Glass. So when I say Wade and Looking Glass, the same person. Wade goes to the station. Angela calls Wade for the pill results. Wade asks Angela, is anything true? She's like, what? So she gets up out of her desk and walks over to his desk. Angela approaches his desk. He tells her it's nostalgia. Angela says it's her grandfather's memories. Wade says he wants to help. Mind you, his desk is still bugged. There's a bug in his cactus plant that Blake is listening to. Okay. Angela says it was his grandfather's she says her grandfather was at the tree. He said he killed the chief, but he's 100 years old. Not possible. So she covered it up. She's telling Wade this shit. Wade, knowing his cactus is bugged, says he's sorry. Angela says, sorry for what? Blake comes out of the office, gun drawn, saying hands, hands, hands. Wade says he has to. Blake orders her to be cuffed. Okay. Before Angela swallows the bottle of pills of nostalgia, before they can cuff her, she asks Wade why. Wade arrives home, throws out his replacement EDS model into the trash, then takes it back into the house. The cavalry members pull up to his house in a black van with shotguns in tow. That's episode 5. The fuck shit is coming. You wanted to fuck shit, you're gonna get it. Okay. Lord Jesus. Okay, episode 6. Up until this point, this was my favorite show. Now I don't feel that so much. Give me one moment. All right, let's get into it. Hooded Justice. This guy's costume is basically a mask and a cape with a noose around his neck. Okay. He's being interrogated. He's the first vigilante of the Minutemen. Okay. One cop thinks his noose is for sex play. He was one of the okay, Looking Glass is watching this. Basically, it's an episode of American Hero Society. Okay, there's a villain named Mullock. If you know what Mullock is, who or was, or what that represents, there's a villain named Mullock. Okay. Looking Glass. The cops know he's homosexual. They want him to remove his mask. The cops know Captain Metropolis is his partner. They know the sex tape is hidden in the boudoir, hid behind a white horse painting in a safe. The cops tell Hooded Justice his boyfriend has other boyfriends, and he's trying to blackmail Director Hoover because Hoover is on the tape, taking it from Captain Metropolis. The cops want Hooded Justice to steal the footage in exchange of them destroying a mugshot of Hooded Justice. Hooded Justice removes his hood, and before Jerry, one of the cops, takes his picture, he beats them up. And then it pans back out, and then you see the cops in the station watching the TV show. And then Blake walks by and says, "Turn that shit off." Okay? Now, Blake interrogates Angela. Ask her if she knows how nostalgia works. They put chips into your brain, and they harvest your memories and put it into a pill form. It was for dementia treatment. The company that makes it is owned by Lady True. This is some excellent writing. Blake asks for consent to have her stomach pumped. Angela passes out. Now, Angela begins to experience her grandfather's memories. So now she's at his badge ceremony. He doesn't get badged by the white commanding officer. He gets badged by a black officer off once the celebration is over, who tells him, "Beware the Cyclops." Okay. William and June have a drink. William is the grandfather. That's his name, William Reeves. His wife is named June. They have a drink. Well, this is before they get married. Okay. No, they are married. Okay. They have a drink. June works for the newspaper. June calls William an angry man. William says he doesn't want to live in the past. June says that's why he's so goddamn angry. Okay. William is on patrol and he sees a Jewish store front getting firebombed. William brings in the assailant. The assailant calls him a spook. Okay. The white officers make the assailant apologize to Williams and hauls him in. But before he hauls him in, he gives him the sign. Gives him the 6 sign. God damn. It's so obvious at this point. All right, he throws up the 6 sign to his partner, right? And he takes him off. All right, so William is shown, he's walking, he's doing his beat. And then old white man looking at a comic. William is shown the first Superman comic about a boy being put into a spaceship before his planet explodes. Cut scene. William is having a flashback of his daddy putting him into the cart onto the buggy to get out of Tulsa. Oh, it was a powerful scene. All right. So then the assailant that bombed the storefront bumps into William the next day. William goes back to the precinct for answers. He asks the desk sergeant. The desk sergeant says, "Let it be." William asks, "Well, what does the 6 sign mean? You did this." Sergeant, he says, the 6 sign means the hole in your head. I'm trying to help you out, Reeves. Go home, please. All right. During his walk home, Reeves declines a drink from his fellow officers. Reeves is then beaten up by the fellow officers and dragged to a tree and is hung. And then they cut him down before he passes out. and is told to keep his black nose out of white people's business. While walking home, he still has the noose around his neck. Walking home, he sees a white couple being attacked. He puts on a black mask and beats up the attackers while wearing the noose around his neck. He goes to June and says, "Okay, I'm angry." The next day, his act makes the paper. June asks, why did he put the mask back on? And he refers to the show Trust in the Law, the same black and white film from episode 1 with Bass Reeves. It was a show, and that was his mantra, trust in the law. These mantras, they're just everywhere. While applying his makeup, June asks, what did the white folks do when Tulsa was burning down? June says, you'll only get justice with this mask, but they gotta think you're one of them. So he has to blot out his eyes with white makeup, so people think he's a white man underneath the hood. Okay. Okay. So then Reeves begins to stake out and follow one of the fellow officers that beat him up, named Fred. Reeves bursts inside the warehouse, and all the cops are wearing KKK robes. Reeves beats them all up. He sees their plans for different cities. The cities are Portsmouth, Boston, New York, Philly, Baltimore, Williamsburg, Cincinnati, Richmond, Norfolk, Middleton, Cleveland, and Atlantic City. And then there's a book of mesmerism. One of the KKK members attacks Reeves. The fight spills out into a storefront where Fred and 2 other customers are present, along with a display of lettuce. Reeves is shot at and escapes through a window. Now, as Reeves is escaping through the window, they do the stop motion cam where they pan it around the person's frozen in time, and they pan it around to Reeves' face. Pause. So then Blake asks Angela if she's okay, because she's literally stuck in place, right? And given a shot of adrenaline, Cal reads her biography to her to help her snap out of the nostalgia coma. She's stuck. Like, she's literally stuck. So she blinks her eyes, saying she yes, and then she sheds a tear when Calvin is reading her biography to her. Okay, back into the memories. Reeves is visited by Nelson Gardner. Nelson Gardner is Captain Metropolis. He Gardner says he's here on behalf of Captain Metropolis and offers him a position. And Gardner says he's the cop feeding Hooded Justice information. Reeves asks Gardner if he knows about Cyclops. He then goes to say the KKK have something big planned. Gardner says Hooded Justice should join because rare men are needed and he doesn't have to fight alone. Hooded Justice has inspired the Minutemen. He is the original. Okay? You know, how can I say this? You know how black, melanated people are just like the originators for everything. So yes, this brother is the originator of the vigilantes, black man. Okay. Reeves asks, how did he know he was the Hooded Justice? Just give me a moment. Okay. No, I missed the part. Okay. So he doesn't have to fight alone. Hooded Justice has inspired the Minutemen. June says no. The next scene, you hear Gardner saying yes as William is pegging Gardner from the back. Yeah. It was too good to be true, y'all. Not only is Calvin a useless black male, but you had to have the originator of the Minutemen the original vigilante, lose his manhood and eventually his family. This man to lose. God damn. All right. All right. So they're laying in bed. Reeves asks Gardner, how did he know he was a hooded justice? Gardner says he didn't know until he laid eyes upon him. Gardner says his secret would have to be covered up, meaning his skin complexion. Okay, and so then the next day, June is feeling left out and asks about his Tulsa experience. June tells Will she's pregnant. So now for me at this point, I'm like, oh, this is, I've mentally checked out of this show. Like, I'm just so tired of this shit. But let's continue. They have a press conference. Hooded Justice is announced as a member, and he's announced as the newest member of the Minutemen. HJ is giving his take on the big crime wave, and Captain Metropolis cuts him off to talk about Moloch the Magnificent. He wants to harvest the sun's energy and turn it into direct energy weapons. Still a great show. Still a great written show. And Captain Metropolis promotes National Savings Bank. This is how they get the funding to fund their operation. They need money. Okay. Years go by. Reeves on patrol during a riot at a theater. Laura tells Reeves she saw flickering lights and a voice in her head that told her to hurt people. Refer back to the Kingsman, the church scene. Okay? Samuel L. Jackson's character, what he wanted to do to the world. Same thing here. Okay? Reeves tells Gardner, hey, Cyclops is being used to incite violence in blacks against each other using movie projectors. Gardner dismisses him and says, and has his mind control theory. Reeves runs into the fire bomber from earlier in the episode, and learns he owns the warehouse. He shoots the guy. Reeves puts on his mask, then proceeds inside to see them putting movie projectors into crates with the Cyclops symbol. Now, during the phone call to Gardner says that's not a Minutemen issue. That's a black on black issue. We don't deal with black on black issue. That's your issue. Okay? So the Minutemen are useless. And then also remember in the bed, Gardner told Reeves that some of the members won't appreciate him being black. Okay? All right. So then he strangles I'm sorry. He walks in. Okay, so Cyclops. Okay, he shoots them all, then walks into another room to find a KKK doing the voiceovers for the programming. The voiceover is done by one of the officers that beat him. It was Fred, and he strangles Fred. Right, the irony of that, and then sets the bodies and the warehouse on fire. He takes one of the projectors home with him. Reeves has another flashback. Reeves returns home to see his son Marcus putting on his costume. Reeves gets upset. June jumps in and says he can't take it off. He can never take it off. June says you need to hide under that mask because you can't stand what you've become. Soul to soul. Soul to soul, y'all. All right, June says we never should have done this. June takes Marcus back to Tulsa with her and leaves Will. Tells Will, don't come looking for us. Don't come back to Tulsa. All right. So then we cut to the night of Judd's murder. Will has the same rope used from his costume in his hands. You see Judd's truck drive by, hit the spike strips. When Judd got out, you saw the flashing lights. It was Will in a wheelchair with this. He has a flashlight that's made from the projectors, the strobe light effect. So he already has him mesmerized. So then he has Judd push his wheelchair, whatever, and he's explaining to Judd. And Judd is like, hey, man, you don't understand, old man. You don't know what's going on. He's still under the psychosis of the strobe effect, okay? Judd asks, well, who is he? Will says, justice. Judge says, you don't understand what's going on here, old man. Will says, you have a cleansed robe in your closet. Judge says, my granddad's. I have a right to keep it. It's my legacy. Will says, you should be proud of your legacy. What are you hiding? Judge says, you don't know me, old man. Will says, I know you. Flashes the 6 sign. Then tells Judd to hang himself. God damn, this is good shit. In the flashback, June tells Will to never come back to Tulsa. Stay away from her and the son. We don't exist. Angela comes out of her coma at Lady True's home. There it is there. We're all caught up with the Watchmen. Damn. In my Florida Evans voice. Dinah, thank you for the PayPal. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. So it is what it is, I guess. Yo, let me do this station identification real quick. Let me read this off one more time, and then we'll get into the actual movie reviews. All right. Once again, welcome to the Morning Star Show featuring Super Slot 75. Shout out to Ra, who's not on the boards tonight, and Cindy Ashby, who's not in boss mode tonight. Visit us on www.onthewakeupradio.com. We're also on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and now iHeartRadio for replays. I don't think I'm going to do call-in. I'm not going to take calls tonight. You can find me under YouTube at SuperSlot75. Also, the backup page, the backup channel is Heavily Flawed Individual. Also, please feel free to donate any amounts. It's a labor of love. We'll go to the website and airtime. We still live in a costly world. If you appreciate the free content, please help us keep the message uncensored and free. You can always donate through PayPal at onthewakeupradio@gmail.com. All right. Okay. Now, yeah, I keep hearing about the series to see. I'm gonna get to it. I just gotta, I get to when I get to it, All right. So now let's get into Gemini Man. Now I will say this: we all did Will Smith a disservice. I said this before. I call Gemini Man After Earth 2. You know why? Because it was really a good movie, and we all should have came out and supported this movie in mass. We really should have. We let Will Smith down on this one. I can admit, like, after watching this shit, I was like, oh my god, this was a good movie. I fucked up and I didn't see this when I needed to see it in the theaters. All right. Shh. Let me find my notes. Nope. Here we go. All right, Gemini Man. Are these shows on Netflix? No, dear. These shows, I'm sure they're on some of these streaming services. I'm not saying that I don't support piracy, but and plus, like I said, I get people that still work for studios that send me screeners and old stuff and whatever. So, all right, Gemini Man, opening scene in Belgium. Bad guys on a train. Henry, aka Will Smith, is setting up his sniper post before the train. It's a moving train. The train, before it hits the tunnel, Henry hits his target, and then Henry gets a visit. What the hell? Okay. So Will he's an assassin, sniper, whatever. He hits his mark, kills the guy, shoots him in the neck, and then Henry gets a visit from his boss, Dell. Henry wants to retire. Henry has 72 kills. If you know the importance of the number 72, then you already know what time it is. All right, it says it starts to mess with you. Henry says his soul hurts and that he wants some peace. Henry meets Danny at the docks. She replaced an old guy named Jerry. Henry goes to meet Jack on his boat. Jack asks Henry about his last kill and that his file was spiked, meaning the guy he killed, he was told he was lied to about why he had to kill him. He was not a bioterrorist. He was a molecular biologist, Larry Dormov, Russian. Henry notices a drone in the sky. Henry also works, and Henry is DIA. Jack and Henry's conversation is being recorded by the DIA, by Lassiter and Clay. Clay wants Henry contained. Clay wants his handler Dell to help out. Clay wants to use the Gemini program. Lassiter says no Americans hit on American soil. Henry finds a tracking device on his boat and gives it to Danny and asks her, is she DIA? She bluffs him. Henry asks Danny out to dinner. At dinner, Henry blows Danny's cover. Danny's dad was a cop. Danny asks Henry why is he retiring. He says he finds himself avoiding mirrors lately. Back on Jack's boat, he's assassinated. This was Henry's homie, okay? Henry has a flashback to when he was 5 and his father is teaching him how to swim. Henry has a fear of drowning. Henry's perimeter alarm goes off. Henry calls Jack. No answer. Henry calls Marino, his spotter, in Virginia to warn him they're coming to get you. Marino gets killed, shot to the head. You see it off camera, but you hear the bullet hit the head, hit his brain. And Marino catches a bullet to the head while on the phone with Henry. Henry survives the attempt. Henry goes to Danny and warns her she's in trouble. They steal a boat and get caught. Danny has a fight with an assassin. Danny tells Henry Lassiter set the hit up. Clay gets the bad news. He says when his soldiers get older, they wear out and grow a conscience. And this is why they need a new breed of soldier. Clay will use the Gemini to make it look like a Russian hit. Clay says men like Henry were born to be collateral damage. Danny asks Henry, has this ever happened before? And then the Baron flies in to help Danny and Henry. It's another one of Henry's former co-workers. They all got this spade tattoo on their wrist because they're all assassins, basically, all hitmen. All right. Patterson gets a call from Henry. Patterson denies everything. Patterson says Gemini and Lassiter can't be stopped. Dormov, the guy that Henry killed at one time, worked for Gemini. Danny tells Henry Gemini is a privatized paramilitary owned by Clay Veris. Danny, Henry, and Baron in Cartagena tells his backstory. Clay has a fear of drowning. Out of the sniper school, Henry meets Clay. Clay knows about his fear. Henry drowns. Clay fishes him out of the water, resuscitates him, and says he's ready to serve under his command. Henry sees a sniper on the roof. Henry tells Baron to take care of Danny, and he'll lead the sniper away. So at this point, it's the young Henry. It's Junior at this point. They play cat and mouse. Henry gets the drop on Junior, but hesitates when he sees his younger self. Now listen. Let's cut the bullshit. You can sit here and play like this was motion capture all day long. That is that boy. That is that man. I know it sounds crazy. That's that man, younger self. You will never convince me that this was all motion capture. Stop. Just this is how they got to get you ready for this type of shit. Let's continue. Okay. Henry and Clay introduced themselves. Old Henry doesn't want to kill Junior. The motorcycle chase ensues. Baron and Danny see the chase taking place. Junior knocks Henry off his bike and gets beat up by Junior on the motorcycle. Just before their fight, Henry is arrested. Danny and Baron get Henry out of jail. Henry needs to go to Budapest to see Yuri. Yuri is the big dog Russian. That was Dormov's homie. He was the big homie to Dormov. Okay. Henry thinks they're trying to kill him because they think Jack told him classified information. On the phone, Danny asks Henry, did he have a kid? And did you notice something funny about him? Of course, Henry's like, nah, I didn't notice anything. Henry says, no, just that he was very good. Danny asks, is it possible that he could have had a kid? Henry shuts down the conversation. Henry says, when I saw him, it was seeing a ghost, like every trigger he's ever pulled. Clay tells Junior he should have stayed in Colombia to await orders. Clay asks, did he see his face? Junior says, no. So he's lying too. Clay asks, what about the roof? Henry says, I got a drop on him, and I had to jump down. Clay berates him and says, what did I always teach you? He says, what did I always drill you? You hold the high ground, you put his back against the wall, you don't let him go. Junior says it was weird, like he was watching it all. And then Junior asks, well, who is he? Okay. Clay then tells Junior it's fear, embrace it and overcome it. Junior is watching an exercise at the Gemini facilities, and he's pretty much it's like Blackwater, or they call it Company Z now. So that's what it looked. That's what it's right was similar to at this point. Clay sends Junior to Budapest. Danny gives Junior's hat blood samples for analysis. Danny tells Henry Junior is his clone, not close, but an identical clone. Henry asks of all the people to clone, why him? Danny says because Mandela couldn't hit a moving target on a train. Henry meets Yuri. Henry says his government lied to him and tried to kill him. Yuri says, well, in Russia, we call that a Tuesday. But in America, it hurts your feelings. Yuri's a badass, all right? Henry asks, well, why Dormoff going back to Russia, and why was he sent to kill him? Yuri says Dormoff was friends with Jack, and the reason Yuri has not killed Henry is because they have a common enemy in Clay Virus. Yuri says he lured Dormoff to the West, funded his lab. He says Dolly the sheep was cloned in 96. And then Henry says, well, they cloned me in 95. Henry says he was the sheep. Yuri says Clay raised the boy as his own son, a la Django and Boba Fett. Remember in Return of the Clone Wars, right? It was the planet Camino, right? And he went and then he went to inspect the soldiers, and he had one natural boy. He said, I want to raise him as my own. Same thing here, okay? Yeah, it's both Django and Boba Fett reference on Planet Camino. Okay. Dormoff and Clay had a falling out. Dormoff got scared and reached out to Yuri. Dormoff made a breakthrough, modified human DNA. Yuri explains to Henry that he's the best at what he does, but he still gets tired. Has fears, doubts, feels pain, remorse, a conscience. This makes him human. Okay? Think all my Warhammer 40K fans. If you follow Warhammer 40K, you understand what I'm talking about. The Astartes, Space Marines. When the first introduction, the Emperor brings in these super soldiers that just have no fear, no remorse, nothing. They're almost damn near inhuman. This is what shit is deep. Oh, shit is deep. All right, just rock with me. All right, he says, makes him human, less than perfect, less profitable. Clay Virus is playing God with DNA and must be stopped. Danny tells Henry he has to talk to Junior. He's the mirror you don't want to look into. Henry sends Lassiter a message and tells her there are shooters at her 10 and 2 and to leave or she will be AMF'd. AMF stands for adios motherfucker. Okay. Lassiter tells Henry Gemini program predates her arrival at the agency. Tells Lassiter Danny wants to come in and still work for the DIA. He says he'll turn her over to Junior only. Junior tells Danny to strip to make sure that she's not wearing a wire. Danny calls Henry. Junior tells Henry in 12 minutes he's going to kill her. Danny and they tell Danny and negotiate a meeting. Okay, during the car ride, Danny picks information from Junior. She's trying to get into his head. Junior tells Danny to some catacombs, sets a trap wire. Okay. Danny asks Junior, does he even know why he's told to kill Henry. Junior says he was told Henry he cracked and killed 8 ops and his spotter. Danny says that's not true because she was there and they were sent to kill him by Gemini. His spotter was killed in Virginia. Tripwire goes off. Henry gets a drop on Junior. Danny had an earpiece, which explains how Henry avoided the tripwire, tells Junior he doesn't want to kill him. Henry tells Junior about Clay. Henry tells Junior about himself. He's allergic to bees. He hates cilantro. He always sneezes 4 times. Meticulous, thorough, disciplined. He loves puzzles. Chess player, has insomnia and doubts. Henry tells Junior 25 years ago Clay took his blood and cloned him. Henry tells Junior he's still a virgin. Fist fight ensues. They both fall into the water. Danny shoots Junior in the arm to prevent him from drowning Henry. Junior gets away. On the plane ride, Danny tells Henry to get some sleep. He says, no, that's where the ghosts are. Junior returns back to Clay. Junior asks, how does he know when his birthday is if he's an orphan? Junior tells Clay he knows he's a clone. Clay tells Junior he thought he'd be happy if he didn't know. Junior no longer believes the lies about him being dumped at a fire station. Clay tells Junior not to doubt his love for him as his father. Junior begins to cry. Danny, Henry, and Baron are ambushed by Junior. Junior shoots Henry with a dart filled with bee venom. Hold up.
Hey.
What's up?
So, what you doing?
Show?
I didn't know that.
Well, you know now. Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I get back to my show?
So there's no hug or...
What? Come give me a hug. Come on. All right. Okay. All right.
How long have you been doing stream?
Takashi?
Yes.
I've been doing it for an hour now. Okay.
Love you.
Love you too. Oh, sorry. Okay. Yes, shoots him with bee venom. And then Junior injects Henry with epinephrine and histamine. And Junior did it to make sure. Okay. Junior tells them they're being tracked. And if they trust him, Henry was chipped 3 years ago during surgery. Junior removes the chip. They agree to take down Clay. Henry tells Junior how he grew up, product of a single mother. Henry tells Junior to leave this life. Junior says, he says, okay, to be what? Junior says, doctor, lawyer. Henry says, husband, father, all the things this job gives you the excuse not to be. Clay calls Junior and tells him to run from Henry. The van then gets hit with a rocket. Baron doesn't make it out in time. The hit squad shows up and Clay is on site. Junior tells Clay to stand his men down. The hit squad begin to shoot at Danny and Henry with a mini cannon. Now, this is the dumbest part of the whole movie. This is why it scenes I hate. Anybody knows a mini cannon? This company named Dillon that makes mini cannons. If you've seen a mini cannon in action, nothing, and I mean nothing, survives with a firing rate of a mini cannon. Things fire between 4,000 to 6,000 rounds a minute. Nothing survives the onslaught of a mini cannon. Nothing. But this is the movies, of course. So, of course, in movie fashion, they survived. I mean, what movies have they survived mini cannons? Judge Dredd had a scene with the mini cannon, right, with Mama when she's shooting up everybody but Dredd. This scene here, they survived a mini cannon. I would say T2, but T2, he was not trying to hit anybody with the mini cannon. Remember that scene? The helicopter shows up. Says, you got a goddamn mini cannon. He pulls off and shoots all the cops. So he's not trying to hit anybody. Yeah, so you're not going to survive a mini cannon assault. But that's just, like I said, it's the movie. So, all right, let's get into it. All right. Squad, mini cannon. Where am I at? Okay. Clay tells Junior to find the rocket launcher, take command. Danny and Henry engage the hit squad. Clay and Junior engage in a fist fight. Junior knocks Clay out. Danny and Henry make the final stand. Junior shows up to help. Okay. All right. So then Clay sends in the second clone of Junior. This clone feels no pain. So he sends in the second clone to finish the job. Clone number 2 begins to manhandle Henry and Junior. They finally catch clone number 2 in a barrage of gasoline explosions in the hardware store, and after 4 shotgun rounds to the chest, clone 2 finally goes down. Henry removes his mask, and it's an even younger clone of Henry and Junior. So this is like Fresh Prince when he was rapping. That's how young he looked. This second clone. Oh my God. Wow. Okay. And so then Danny asks, as he's dying, like, do you even feel pain? And so the second clone just says nothing, and then he just dies. Okay. And Clay shows up and tells Henry he was the inspiration for it all. Henry and Clay have a philosophical disagreement on clone soldiers. Henry stops Junior from killing Clay. Henry tells Junior, you don't want those ghosts. So Henry shoots Clay instead. Later on, Henry meets Patterson. Patterson tells Henry Gemini labs have been dismantled and there are no more clones. And Junior is untouchable. 6 months later, Henry meets up with Danny and Junior on campus. Junior has a social security card, birth certificate, and passport. Junior names himself Jackson and tells them he's going to be okay because he's a freshman in school now. So he's just a regular student with a kill rate. He's a killer. Yeah, so that was Gemini Man. I know I gave like a really, really glossed over it. This is a really, really good movie. Like it really, really was a good movie. Like I said, we let Will Smith down on this one. We also went to go see this one all in mass. But yeah, don't give me that bullshit about this is not motion capture. They said the fight scene alone took 8 months. I wonder why a fight scene would take 8 months, even with all the technology to put heads on different bodies. It would never take them 6 months. I mean, it would never take 8 months. So y'all do the math on that one. All right. This might be a little short show. All right. We get into the final movie review. Let me find my notes. This one should be good. You guys might like this one. You better like this one. I like this one. Wait for it. Nope. Wait for it. Bear with me, y'all. It's coming. I'm close. Here we go. Just a GoPro. All right. Witchboard, 1986. This is a classic. This movie is for me growing up. This is like, okay, this is just a crazy movie. Witchboard, 1986. All my old heads, you should know about this movie. If you don't, shame on you. Shame on you. All right, let's get into it. All right. Oh, this movie has Tawny Kitaen. Tawny Kitaen, old heads. Y'all remember the group, the band hair group, White Snake? She was in the video Cherry Pie. Tawny Kitaen, I think, at one point dated a senator that at one point was running for presidency. He was a Democrat. I forget his name, y'all. Y'all know before I do. Tawny Kitaen. This was her movie. All right. Okay. So there's a house party. Brandon is engaged in a debate about God versus the universe. Brandon says the universe has always been here. He says, why is that so hard to accept that an infinite God? Brandon throws a shade at Jim. Jim's father was an alcoholic. Jim and Linda have a rocky relationship. Brandon, Sinclair, and Linda used to date. Okay, Brandon's a yuppie. Brandon and Jim grew up together, all right? Brandon argues the existence of spirits. He gives meaning to the word He gives meaning to the Ouija board. Ouija is 2 words. It's French and German words meaning yes. So you say yes, yes. It's a yes, yes board. He explains a planchette. The Ouija board goes back to 540 BC. Linda suggests that they play the Ouija. Brandon says the board should be placed on the knees for maximum contact, and preferably a man and a woman, and they should both have clean systems so energy flowing to the planchette is strong and possible. Spirits are bad spellers and like to lie. The boards are connected to the most dominant spirit. So you may have multiple spirits in the board, but the big dog usually runs the board, okay? Brandon contacts David. David is a dead little boy. As Linda was asking David questions, Brandon stops abruptly, saying that wasn't David. They have a special signal. They begin again, and David draws figure 8s as their signal. Okay. Brandon asks David, will he return to the living? He says yes. So I'm sorry. I missed the part. Whoop. Never mind. Okay. So during the first seance, Jim agitates David. Okay. So then David leaves, and all of a sudden, one of Brandon's car's tires blows out outside. And they're like, and he's like, you upset David. David did this. And they're like, how can a spirit blow out a car tire? Okay. So the next day, everyone leaves. David left his board at the house. So Linda is like a housewife. She's by herself. So this is when she grabs the board by herself and starts asking David questions. Linda wants to be pregnant. She wants kids. Okay. So then Linda asks David, will he ever return to the living? David said yes. Linda asks, will he choose his parents? He says yes. Okay. And then prior to the party, the reason why David got mad, or Jim got mad, because Jim says something bullshit. Brandon retorts by saying, you mad because you were stupid enough to pick your parents. David becomes agitated, then leaves, and the table flies off their knees, and the tires of Brandon's Corvette blow out. Brandon and Jim get into a tussle. Okay. Linda blames Jim for ruining the party. They kiss and make up. The next day at a construction site, Jim can't find his hammer. Jim and Ollie are having lunch. Brandon calls Linda to have him bring her Ouija board to class the next day. Linda begins to use the Ouija board by herself and contact David. Linda asks, can David choose his parents? And then her pregnancy tests are positive. David says yes. Linda asks David, would you like to? David says no, because he already knows what she's going to ask. She's asking him, going to ask him, can we be your parents? David says no. Linda asks why. David spells out Jim. Linda asks, you don't like Jim? David answers no. David then leaves and goes to Jim's work site. Okay, there's a hatchet on the scaffolding above where Ollie and Jim are having lunch. Jim and Brandon were best friends as kids. Jim's parents were alcoholics. Brandon's parents helped raise Jim. Okay, as Jim gets ready to end his lunch break, Lloyd or Ollie lays back down for a few more minutes, and then sheetrock fall on top of Lloyd, killing him instantly. Okay, so then David returns back to the board with Linda and spells ring, R-I-N-G, and tells her where to find her ring in the drain, D-R-A-N, because they can't spell. She goes to the sink, finds the drain to the bathroom. Linda unscrews the plumbing to find her missing ring. Jim comes home and tells her Ollie's dead and tells her she's been cursing a lot. Linda tells Jim David helped her find the ring. The spirit begins to hover above Linda while sleeping. The next day at Lloyd's funeral, Lieutenant Dewhurst from Homicide asks him if he likes magic. Dewhurst asks Jim if he's been to Vegas, and the best part is trying to figure out how it was done. Dewhurst believes Lloyd was murdered because the ropes that were cut with a hatchet Dewhurst asks if Lloyd had any enemies, or could Jim have been a target? Dewhurst asks Jim if he found his missing hatchet. Jim says it was a hammer. Dewhurst asks if it had a blade on it. Jim says yes. Dewhurst asks if he found it. Jim says no. Linda begins to ask David if it caused the accident. David says no. Linda asks if he's still angry at Jim. David doesn't respond. Brandon called Linda to ask for his Ouija board back. Brandon asks, did she see him cry? That's to keep moving forward. Brandon says he's known Jim since he was 7 and that he's never cried for anyone or anything. Linda asks Brandon how many times has he contacted David. Linda asks Brandon, well, has he ever seen David? Okay. Has she ever seen David get that angry? Brandon says no. Linda tells Brandon she's been contacting David alone. The phone line then goes dead. Linda gets irate at Jim for scaring her. Linda tells Jim she's pregnant. Jim attributes her attitude to her being pregnant because she's starting to curse a lot, get very angry, very combative, okay? That night, Linda has a vision of a casket with the Ouija board on top of it, and then hands reach out to strangle her. All right, the next day, Linda tells David she's giving the board back to Brandon. David says no. Then a knife flies out of the drawer, sticks into the ground, and a bottle of ketchup spills onto the knife. Linda tries to get out of the kitchen, but the door is locked. Then you hear Linda screaming. Brandon goes to see Jim at the construction site. Brandon asks Jim, has Linda's behavior changed? She's been missing class. Brandon tells Jim he thinks she's been using his Ouija and that the wrong spirit will take advantage of her. It will be nice to her at first, and then it's called progressive entrapment. Then the spirit begins to terrorize her and then possess her. Okay? Brandon wants to bring in a medium to exercise the apartment. Jim tells Brandon she's pregnant. Brandon tells Jim he doesn't love her. Brandon berates Jim. Jim gets a phone call about Linda. Linda tells Jim it was David. She says he used to be nice to her, but now she's scared. Jim tells Brandon to bring his medium by named Zarabeth. Zarabeth says they have a gnarly spirit, and they begin the seance. Seance and goes in. Zarabeth channels David. Brandon asks David, why is she... David says, okay. So then Brandon asks David, why is he frightening her? David says she stopped talking to him because of Jim. Brandon says he's taken the Ouija home with him. David says he's sorry. This is all through David is speaking through the medium at this point. David leaves. Zarabeth says David left on his own. Linda is remorseful about David. While Brandon is taking Zarabeth home, he takes the board with him. During the car ride, Zarabeth also asks if he's heard of Malfador. Brandon says it's Portuguese for something evil. Zarabeth asks, was David Portuguese? Brandon says no, that he was only 10. Zarabeth says he was a real toughie. Zarabeth says something is wrong and that she'll have to call him later. Zarabeth discovers the identity of the real spirit. As she goes to call Brandon, the spirit attacks Zarabeth, chases her through her apartment, cuts her throat with an axe, throws her out of the window, and she lands on top of a sundial. Jeez. Brandon wakes up the next day to the news of Zarabeth's death. Brandon discovers the board is gone. Brandon goes to Jim's. Brandon tells Jim Zarabeth is dead. Brandon suspects David killed Lloyd. Sarah and cut his phone line and that the board is missing. Brandon tells Jim he's going to Big Bear because that's where David claims he died. Jim notices Lieutenant Dewhurst outside of his home. Linda contacts David again. The spirit locks Jim out while Linda is being thrown around by some unseen force. Linda is unconscious. Okay. Jim grabs the board and throws it into the trash. Lieutenant Dewhurst is at the hospital with Jim. Dewhurst asks how well did he know Zara Beth. Her throat was slit before going out of the window. Her slit throat matched the cuts from the rope at the construction accident. Dewhurst asks Jim if he's found his hatchet. Jim says it vanished. Jim asks Dewhurst how's the baby. The doctor tells Jim that Linda isn't pregnant. Jim goes to Big Bear with Brandon. They first stop at Big Bear Public Library. They find David died in a gas explosion on a motorboat. They go to look for his parents, but they're not listed. They go to the Queens Meadow Cemetery, and they go to David's gravesite. They find David's parents' gravesite as well. And Jim suggests maybe it wasn't an accident. Jim and Brandon reflect on their brotherly bond. Brandon is still in love with Linda. Jim admits that he's afraid he can't love anybody and that he'll end up alone. Linda asks from her hospital bed. She awakes from her hospital bed by her name being called. She sees Mal Fedor, and he cuts her head off. Then she wakes up. Okay. Jim and Brandon go back to the docks with another Ouija board to contact David. Okay. Brandon thinks Linda is the portal, and they're too far away for the spirit to touch them. Jim says, what if you're wrong and the board is the portal? Brandon says it can't touch them as long as Linda is sleeping. Linda then checks out of the hospital. Jim and Brandon contact David and ask who's terrorizing Linda. David spells E-V-I-L. David admits to flattening Brandon's tire at the party. David answers no to killing Lloyd or speaking to them during the seance. Jim asks then, who did we talk to? David spells E-V-I-L. David answers yes to another spirit forcing him out, and no to not speaking to Linda all this time. David answers yes to the spirit being Mal Fedor. Brandon asks David, who is Mal Fedor? David spells H-E-R. David becomes agitated. Jim says, aren't they bad spellers? They ask David again. David spells H-E-R. David then leaves. Jim says, here. Mal Fedor is here. Just then a bunch of barrels are cut loose and knock them over. Knocks Jim onto the ground, and then knocks Brandon unconscious into the water. So then Brandon gets out of the water, and the spirit is hovering above. As the spirit hovers above Brandon, makes his way to Jim. Mal Fedor strikes Brandon in the face, killing him with an axe instantly. Jim awakens hours later to discover Brandon's dead body and begins to cry uncontrollably. Back at the house, Linda grabs the board out of the trash. Linda contacts David and asks what he has done with Jim, to no response. Carlos Mal Fedor was a notorious mass murderer, killed 9 people with an axe. Cops shot and killed Mal Fedor in the 1930s in the home that Linda and Jim live in. Jim calls the hospital to speak with Linda, but finds out she checked out already. During her shower, Mal Fedor attempts to scald Linda with the hot water. She breaks the glass to get out. Linda is then locked in her room. Jim races home. Linda grabs her robe and finds the Ouija board underneath. Mal Fedor reveals himself and then possesses Linda. Jim arrives the next day. The house is torn to shreds. A possessed Linda then attacks Jim with an axe. While strangling Jim, he stabs Linda with a letter opener. Lieutenant Dewhurst bursts in, assuming Jim has killed Brandon and Big Bear. Linda then attacks Dewhurst with a fire poker. Jim grabs his gun. Linda taunts Jim to commit suicide. Linda tells Jim he's the portal, and it is him that he tortured by killing his friends and torturing Linda, and says the only way to close the portal is to commit suicide. Jim then shoots the Ouija board, banishing Mal Fedor. With one last attempt, Linda pushes Jim out of the window. Fast forward. Jim and Linda get married. Jim's wearing a neck brace. The landlady's niece and then Linda's pregnant. The landlady's niece, and they're cleaning up the places. They've moved out. So the landlady's niece is cleaning, and she finds the Ouija board with the holes in it. And she asks if it still works with all the holes in it before tossing it to the trash. And then the planchette moves to the word yes. End scene. Dun, dun, dun. It's cheesy, but it was good. I liked it. I mean, I watched shit as a kid. It was good to me. I liked it. What the fuck ever. Whatever. So yeah, what am I at? I'm at where's my time stamp? I'm at 90 minutes. Yeah. All right, so let me do acknowledgments real quick. Let me just do these real shout outs and I'm gonna wrap this up. Genesis use Earth. Yeah. Listen, y'all, the agenda is real. Yeah. I'm still pissed at the Watchmen thing. It was just too good to be true. Huge disappointment. I'm not surprised, but I'm huge disappointment. And Dinah Latrell, Gone Postal, my man Darkman X, Curly, Torrance, no super chat. They got demonetized. So if you want to donate, let me do it one more time because I really hate posting the links because it's just a pain in the ass for me. There. Let me see. I think that's it. Soul Provider, what's happening? Kiri's in the house. Jervis. Ryan. I think that's it. Apple Mac. Hey, BMT, what's happening, bruh? Okay, we're good. I think I got everybody. Okay, I got everybody. All right. Has anyone seen Ford? Yes, I've seen Ford versus Ferrari. I love the movie. I hated Carroll Shelby because I thought he let Ford punk him and Carol and Ken Miles like twice. But it was a great movie. It was sad. It was sad because you know the story that Ken dies in a practice. Okay, so the Ford GT40s had brake issues, heavy bad braking issues. The brakes would always fade, and he would have no brakes. That was the one flaw in the Ford GT40. The brake systems was crappy. So during that first Le Mans that they won, they had to swap out the entire braking system. All right. So then the next year they're prepping for, I think it's the 69 Le Mans with the brand new GT40, and Ken goes to take the car out for a test drive, and the brakes fail him again, and he dies in a fucking crash. Man, it's a fucked up movie. Ford second, the first time when they got the 3 GTs ready for Daytona, he told Ken he couldn't come, and he had to have Carroll Shelby do the dirty work and tell Ken himself. And then the second most important part is when they won the Le Mans. Infamous came in 1, 2, 3. All 4 GTs came in 1, 2, 3. It was Ford the second that told Bibby, his second in command, to tell Carroll Shelby, tell Ken to slow up to let the other cars catch up so they can go do a 1, 2, 3 finish. Because Ken was above ahead of everybody. Like Ken was that great of a racer. And so then Ken runs the perfect lap at Le Mans. The straightaway, he did the fastest stretch at 201 miles an hour. Now, mind you, this is 1968. 1968, he did 201 miles an hour during the back weight, during the down the stretch at Le Mans. They used the Carroll Shelby's 427 block. That thing puts out about 550 horses. Now, mind you, that's a light car. This is 1968, so that thing will outrun most cars today. So then he ran a perfect lap. And then Ken, before he gets to the finish line, he decides to let the other guys catch up. So what ended up happening was Ford the second had a deal with McLaren, the John McLaren. So all these McLaren cars you see, all these rappers and shit, that's him. He's a British dude. So they had some side deal going. So when they crossed the finish line 1, 2, and 3, it was considered a draw. And because McLaren at one point was leading the race overall time lap wise, he won the Le Mans and not Ken Miles. And then on the podium, you saw Henry Ford II on the podium with John McClaren. They fucked him over so bad. They fucked him over so fucking bad. But it was a sad fucking movie, man. Sad fucking movie. Ken Miles, but the good thing, Ken Miles was inducted to the Motorsports Hall of Fame. That's the only shining part about it. But fucking sad movie. It was sad, man. It was sad. I couldn't stand Carroll Shelby at that point. So that was Ford versus Ferrari in like 5 minutes. If nothing else, I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm not gonna take any calls. It's like I said, this is like a pre-recorded show. Here it says you're such a man into stats. Oh, thank you, hun. Appreciate it. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up and get out of here. Y'all go back and finish eating and stuffing yourselves. I will do the same. We'll do this again next week for sure. So next week, I think will be The Irishman, and then something else, and then we'll catch up with The Watchmen and The Mandalorian as well. I'm waiting for The Witcher. The Witcher looks really good. I'm stoked for that. That comes out next month on Netflix, so we'll be diving into the Witcher universe as well too. And then whatever else is on my list that I can get to at that point. So with that being said, I wish you guys a good night. Love and light. Y'all be vigilant. I'll catch you on the next one. Y'all have a good one. Peace.